Hello, in this video we will discuss about the blood circulatory system in vertebrates. So vertebrates mean that animal which contain a vertebral column. So let's begin to understand with the evolutionary process to understand the blood circulatory system. So the vertebrates contain a closed type blood circulatory system, which that means blood flow in artery, vein and capillary, and blood will not move outside into the tissue for bathing, but we will also understand the open circulatory system. So first of all we should understand about what is the circulatory system. So the circulatory system is also used for the lymphatic system, also involved in transportation. Lymphatic system means the lymphocytes etc., which that is also transport. So the heart is pumping organ, pump the blood via a aorta. So that is the heart is important major part of the circulatory system. So here I am drawing the heart of mammals. This mammal's heart, which that is basically contain a aorta and inferior vena cava and superior vena cava, which that is carry the deoxygenated blood toward the right atrium to right ventricle. After the right atrium to right ventricle, bicuspid valve is used to open. Anyhow, this right ventricle when feel that is blood move toward the uh, pulmonary pulmonary artery, which that contain a deoxygenated blood. So here is the pulmonary vein, which that is used for the move back the oxygenated blood, pulmonary vein, which that is oxygenated blood, and fall the uh, oxygenated blood into the left atrium to left ventricle, and ultimately go into the through the tricuspid valve to move into the aortic valve, and aorta will through the blood whole body. That is the overview of the circulatory system of mammals. So anyhow, here we will discuss about the evolutionary process and what is the meaning of the circulatory system and what is the significance of the circulatory system. So here is the descending aorta, which that is blood supply into the trunk and basically is abdominal and legs, and aortic arch, which that supply the head and arms. So here is the comparative study of vertebrate heart we will discuss. So first of all the evolution we will discuss. So in the previous in the ancestral cell, which that is for example the amoeba, which that is basically single cell diffusion. So the diffusion is the primarily circulation in early time of evolutionary process in the unicellular. So it means the carbon dioxide and oxygen is also diffused and used for the energy to produce to use as a Krebs cycle. So the oxygen is very important and carbon dioxide exhale is very important. So the multicellular to diffuse of oxygen is complex and provides oxygen all cell is difficult. So that is important. The closed circulatory system will be evolved. So first of all here we will discuss about the open and closed circulatory system differences. So the first is the open circulatory system is evolved in the arthropod. So let's begin to understand. Here is the closed circulatory system, which that is used in the single loop in the fish. So here is the gills, which that is absorb the oxygen from the water and move into the capillary, which that is bedded in the gills, and absorb the oxygen to move the heart, heart auricle, which that is heart of fish. Here is the single loop. When these oxygenated blood move into the heart and move into the basically systemic circulation after the gills circulation. Anyhow, this oxygen will be move and carbon dioxide will be move into the blood to become a deoxygenated blood, which that is again again exchanged from the gills. On the other hand, the open circuit circulatory system is used for the trachea-like structure, which that is the used for the wind movement, oxygen and carbon dioxide exchange on the basis of partial pressure, which that is changed. And after the changing of the partial pressure inside of carbon dioxide, it means the carbon dioxide move outside when the partial pressure will be high. So the directly bath into the tissue uh, when the blood, and that is bath tissue by hemolymph with oxygen containing hemocyanin instead of hemoglobin. So this was the open circulatory system. It means the openly bath the tissue to provide oxygen while the extract the carbon dioxide and move outside from the trachea. While here let's begin to understand the blood circulatory system in vertebrates. So first is the evolutionary process which gives the fish circulatory system, which that is the single loop to become an amphibian circulatory system, and reptiles as well as mammals is the last one. So why this adaptation is so important? Because the more complexity will want more oxygen to get more energy and to become more active and produce more energy. So that why. So fish circulatory system is the fish have a closed circulatory system. First of all, we will discuss with a heart that pump blood around the body in a single loop from the heart to the gills, from the gill to rest of the body, and then back to the heart. So let's begin to understand with diagram, and we can understand with a picture to best a concept. So the basically in fish when the systemic capillaries, which that is used for the systemic circulation, after the systemic circulation the deoxygenated blood move into the heart. So the heart is contain a two chambered heart, which that is contain atrium and ventricle. So first is the go into the atrium, and after the pump by a ventricle to pump in toward the gills capillaries. So that is the gills which that is exchanged by a water to convert release the carbon dioxide while trap the oxygen. So this is the inefficient way to consume the energy, because it is not double circuit circulatory system, but it is single circuit circulatory system, while it is closed circulatory system. So remember about that. It is single circuit circulatory system but closed circulatory system. So when gill circulation, after the gill circulation, that is the artery which that is lead to move the systemic capillaries for systemic circulation to give the oxygen to the tissue for consume the energy. So that is the important things. So the partial pressure will lead to exchange of the oxygen and carbon dioxide. On the other hand, the amphibian circulatory system we will discuss. If amphibian have two circulatory routes, one for oxygenation of the blood through the lungs and the skin, other to take oxygen to the rest of the body. So the one and important character is that the skin is also used for the circulatory system. So let's begin to understand lungs and skin, which that is used for the circulatory system and trap the oxygen. While this is more adaptive as compared to the fish. So that means here I am drawing the map of the circulatory system of the frog, for example. So frog is the amphibian. Amphibian mean the two way to live, for example in the water and terrestrial environment. So this animal is adaptive for both environment aquatic environment and terrestrial environment. So here is the head and body which that is contain a capillaries is showing in the figure. So when oxygenated blood convert into the deoxygenated blood and then go into the right atrium to right ventricle. So basically right atrium to ventricle. So ventricle is here is single. It is 3-chambered heart, not a 4-chambered like a human being. So here is the lungs which that is trap oxygen, and also skin is trap oxygen. So this oxygenated blood will go into the left atrium, oxygenated blood, and left atrium and right atrium which that is give the blood into the ventricle. So this ventricle will mix the blood. This mix the blood is the less oxygenated as compared to the mammal. So this less oxygenated blood is why? Because frog use less energy, because frog used to uh, uh, hibernation. So that is why it is less using of the energy. So it means here is the basically mixing of the blood toward, and that is moved into the body for bathing the tissue. So the skin is very important. Why? Because frog is hibernate into the soil. So that means frog will not use breathing as much, but skin is used for the breathing mechanism. So next is here we will discuss about the reptiles circulatory system. So the reptile circulatory system is a 4-chambered, but the hole is left behind. It means the basically reptile circulatory system contain 4-chambered, but important thing is that the mixing of the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood is the another pathway which that is used for it. But here we will discuss with the circulatory system map to understand. So here is basically left atrium and right atrium, while the left ventricle and right ventricle. So this left atrium and right atrium and left ventricle and right ventricle which that is collapse, you can see in the figure. And this collapsing mechanism, first of all we should understand the oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood. So the deoxygenated blood is again go into the lungs, pulmonary artery to pulmonary vein, and ultimately go into the left atrium, while this left ventricle which that is allowed to enter as well as the atrium basically. So when during the movement of the pulmonary artery and the left arch, so the left arch when move this oxygenated blood into the left arch and right arch, so the right arch and left arch are present, which that is ultimately collapsed together to become a aorta. So this right arch is basically mix the blood. So this mixing of the blood will move again, and that is why it is cold-blooded animal which that is change their heat mechanism. So that is important thing. So that means it is also mixing the blood by a right arch. But in the case of mammal circulatory system, the right arch is disappear, and that means the heart is completely separate with the 4-chambered heart. So this 4-chambered heart is looking like this, and their map is like that. And here is the systemic circulation which that lead to deoxygenated blood move into the left atrium, right atrium to right ventricle, and after go into the pulmonary artery to the pulmonary vein. After deoxygenated blood through a lungs circulation is the pulmonary circulation. After the lungs which that is give the oxygenated blood move into the vein, and vein which that is ultimately go into the atrium to ventricle. After the ventricle move into the aorta and throughout the body circulation. So that is the basic mechanism. So I hope you make sense about that. Reptile circulatory system is pretty complex, but you can understand by I write arch to watch again this video to understand and stop to video to understand basically. So here is you can see. So the mammal has completely double circulatory system, while the reptile is also double circulatory system and amphibian, but the fish is the single circulatory system. So the mammal has completely double circulatory system, has two loop as compared to the fish and amphibian.